what I have heard is the attitudes. Like they, when there's an issue and you want something done a certain way, it's always, this is not America. You're not in America. You're not whatever, which is also limiting to Ghanaians, because I say to people, I'm like, but the funny thing is, you would kill yourself. You would sell your kidney. You would sell your heart for an opportunity to go and live in America. So why not build your country to function as efficiently and as well rounded as America and stay home? That's always my argument with them. So I've never heard it in terms of like traditional thing. I don't even understand that. That's
no, and that's not I've never heard it coming from Ghanaians.
Oh,
I've only heard that coming from Blacks.
I think you know what, honestly, I think that that comes from a space of the confusion of it. And you know how people say, Black Americans or foreigners are lost. They don't know where they come from.
Right.
And so with that aspect, it makes some people more susceptible to pick up whatever somebody's telling you. Mm-hmm. And sometimes they're not telling you things from the best place. Right, you know what I'm saying? They want to befriend you. They want to make it seem like you're the only person that they can trust, or they're the only person that you can trust. And so they're trying to teach you to adopt their ways by kind of desensitizing you in a space to where you feel like you can only kind of rely on them.
Right.
Because to me, if you come into Ghana, this is my perspective. You come into Ghana, you want to do business, you want to live in Ghana. If you're respectful of the tradition, of the culture and whatever, and you still embrace your tradition, your culture, your style of dress, I see nothing wrong with that at all.
Exactly.
If you want to eat your foods and eat your foods only, I see nothing wrong with that at all. Exactly. It's a different thing when you want to go on the internet and run your mouth and insult and bring down and question somebody else's environment as if you were forced to live there. Right. And I really don't see that from Black people, Americans, UK, or anything that moved to Ghana. For the most part, I feel like they assimilate relatively well.
Well, I think that what tends to happen, what I see tending to happen is, especially in a lot of the groups that are about repatriating to
I'm not in any of those, so that's probably why I don't see it.
That's why you, so in a lot of these groups you have people who are saying like, oh, if you can't eat, you need to learn how to eat Ghanaian food. And I'm like, bro, that shit is hot. Like, I
don't eat. I'm Ghanaian, and there's a lot of foods I don't eat.
Right, I eat some things because my husband is Ghanaian and I love it. Like, and even some Nigerian foods I absolutely love. Like, when I finish talking to you, I'm going to get me some suya. But girl, but I feel like when foreigners come to America, they create their own little space. So like you said, y'all had the Akan Association where you all would go and hold on to those things that are yours.
Right.
You got African, I can name in the vicinity of me, off the top of my head, I know probably 4 African markets and maybe 6 African restaurants. Mm-hmm. And they not in there serving nothing but either Ghanaian or Nigerian food.
Yeah.
And I don't see anything wrong with that.
I don't think I see anything wrong with that. But you know what? I hadn't really thought about it until you brought it up, because I have seen conversations where people mention creating their own society on some of these groups, but those mentions of it for me come from like a negative space, because it's usually discussed like living off the grid, having multiple wives, dating underage girls, these kind of things. And
I can't even go into that.
And I think that people lump that in. They lump the bad in with the good aspects of that.
Right.
And I think the other side of it too is even Jamaicans, like, I know here you got the Jamaicans joint. It's all Jamaican food. We going over there. Nobody has a problem with it. But I think the problem is that a lot of the times when they want to do these things, they want to do those with the assistance of a Ghanaian. Whereas the Ghanaian community that's built in New York is built completely with Ghanaians. So it's not like pulling a Black American person in and trying to tell them I'm trying to do something that you can't be part of. Right. And I think when they come into Ghana, it works in reverse, where they want to build these things, but they want to build it with the assistance of Ghanaians that you're also kind of excluding yourselves from. And I think when you do it like that, you're likely to get the person to tell you you need to leave that behind and just
right. So I think that the two things can exist at the same time.
Yes.
I should be able to have a market that I can go to.
Yes.
And go and get me some go to a soul food restaurant.
Yeah.
Whatever the case may be in Ghana. And those things.
Yeah, because I'm coming for some catfish and some mac and cheese.
Okay.
Because I got a Ghanaian catfish spot. He curries his catfish, but I'll take some fried catfish and some. See, but you know what? I think the real problem with that, Bakita, is not the Ghanaians. I think it's more the community of Black Americans with the competitiveness.
It's totally the Black Americans.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is because like when I'm going to the Dubois Center for like, you know, they do like the green markets and such, and they sell in whiting filet sandwiches and whatever else. Them people in there always fighting with each other. Like the last time I went, I paid for my food. I left. I came back an hour later. It wasn't ready. They couldn't tell me when it was gonna be ready. They was arguing like the faces. That I was like, "Ooh, you know what? You could give me my money and I could go over there."
And see, so I really struggle with trying to understand like where our people are coming from. And honestly, I'm kind of at a point where I'm just like, is it even worth me trying? Because
I feel like that sometimes here too. That's the thing with Ghana. It's never a consistent feel. And so I think that's why I'm so bicontinental and why I said now
I'm also bicontinental.
Yeah, why I'm also looking at like the businesses on the US side as well, because it gets very overwhelming.
It is.
And like I said before, in terms of quality of life and your mental health being priority, you really have to orchestrate a space in which you can function at your best the majority of the time. And sometimes when you're in these third world countries, it's kind of like you fighting yourself to justify dealing with the headache.
Yeah, I think like for me, you know, I've heard people, it's on the Black American side only, saying like, oh, like you need to be able to. It's like we want to completely and utterly give up everything that is like comfortable and ours, and
that's absurd to me. I'm not listening.
It's foolishness. I don't feel like I need, as hot as it be in Ghana, and I got all these little bitty children, I gotta have some damn AC. I'm gonna have running water. I'm not fetching no water from nowhere.
To me, that I feel like that's not even a discussion. I feel like anybody who would come to me and say, you know, you could go fetch water, or you don't need a borehole, or you don't need a poly tank or whatever, I'm not conversing with, because your brain operates on a different level than mine, and we're never going to agree on these things. I think the number one thing is to make your life simple, because the reality is, if you're moving back, the majority of people who are moving to Ghana are moving back to Ghana. They're moving back for business. Who has time to be going up the street to fetch water, to come back and take a bath, to get in a car and go meet somebody? No. Time is limited in Ghana, and people are always running late. They're not on time. So you don't have time to waste on these little silly things. You know, you have to really prioritize what you use your time for. So I would be like, no. Yeah. I would comfort, luxuries, cable TV, air conditioning, house help, maybe a driver, somebody to clean. Listen, cleaning in Ghana.
You know, and speaking of house help, because I want to kind of make people understand that that part of the culture.
Okay. Because I've had this conversation with Ghanaians too, because some of them that live outside and are out of touch are just like, but it's like slavery, and it's like, and I'm like, and so what I said to them is, as I stated before, the population of 30 million, more than 15 million are poor and impoverished. Those people have no means to go to school and get educations. You don't know how many times I've had house help who work for me and are like, can you advance me pay so that I can pay for my tuition so I can go to school? Yeah. labor is very cheap in Ghana. Very, very, very cheap in Ghana. Unfortunately, the quality of education is not as high as it should. And the access to quality of education is very, very low. And so you have people who want to go to trade school, they want to learn to sew, they want to whatever, or they don't want to do any of that. And the only skill set they have is to cook and clean.
Yeah.
If you pay them $100, $150 a month, whatever their rate is based off of what your need is, a lot of them could recommend 15 people for you who would want to take the job.
Right.
It's not a situation where you're forcing people to come in and do work that they don't want to do. This is a whole profession in Ghana that has industries where people are training and orienting people how to be professional house help, because that's the only skill they really have. And because the country is not as developed as it needs to be, you don't have as many of the little corner store job, mall jobs. I mean, in all of Ghana, we have 3 malls.
Yeah.
We have 3 malls. So it's not realistic to say you could go tell a 20-year-old to go get a job in a clothing store in a mall and they can use that to kind of learn skills and develop themselves and get out on their own. No, the equivalent of a mall job is a house help job. I think you probably have more people qualified to be house help than to be anything else because of the lack of access of education. And then you have a lot of parents who either don't have the money to pay for their kids to be educated or don't see the value in it.
Right.
And so you end up having people who are 20 and they want to go back to school or to start school and they have no means. There's no government aid. There's some scholarship-ish kind of programs, but there's no government aid. There's no FAFSA. There's no loan process for you to take loans out and go to school. So they get jobs as house help, which is relatively simple. And if you have an employer who is nice and works with you, you can go to school and maintain that household job and learn a trade. And then after 3 years, you can leave that job and go do something else. But for a lot of people, that's the only way to earn income.
Right. You know, I know a few of the repats or even some expats who, actually a lot of expats who hire house help, and part of their pay is they pay them a salary and they pay for their tuition.
Okay.
And I think that it's really good because you get, not only you're getting your education, but then you'll have money to get the things that you need to go to school. You'll have a little money to get you some clothes or whatever it may be. You
go out, experience life. That's what I was saying in terms of the economy. We kind of, especially I guess for people who don't really think about it, like I used to say, I'm like, listen, you live in America, things are so easy, they're sorted out for you, don't have to think about things. In Ghana, you become an economist, a politician, a water reserve specialist, a farmer, you got to know every detail of what's going on.
You become a builder, you become everything.
Yes, because nothing is working properly. And once you get into that space, then you really start to realize how much need people are in. You know what I'm saying? Because there's a lot of people who can't even conceptualize, like, you think about the US and these kids go to school for free, right? Like me and my aunt had this conversation and she's just like, oh, America's so much better than Ghana because the kids can go to school. And didn't you go to school for free? And I was like, I went to public school at one point. And yeah, it was free, but it wasn't really free because we pay taxes.
We pay taxes, exactly.
I'm like, you pay taxes, lady? She's like, no. I said, let me tell you something. If I wanted to drive over a bridge and pay a toll, I would pay $15. $15 is 70 Ghana cities. You people won't pay 2 cities to go through the toll. 2 cities, and you want to
one city, because if you're going from Accra to Kaswa, the rate is only 1 city. Or is it 50?
That's what I'm saying. And even that toll, and then we have one in Cape Coast, and it's the same. Them people fought, argued, and everything. The government is stealing, they angry. And I'm like, these tolls, these taxes and things that we pay is what make the country so efficient. And because y'all don't pay, y'all don't have certain things. Y'all don't want to pay for nothing. You don't want to pay to send your kid to school, but then you want your kid to be a doctor and you want them to look after you for it doesn't work that way.
And you know, I had a conversation with a Ghanaian friend before, and we were talking about how the government's stealing money, and they doing this, and all of the things that Ghanaians gripe about when it comes to the the economy, the government, and how things are going or progressing. And my stance was, you know, I first went to Ghana in 2011. From 2011 to now, I've seen a tremendous change in Ghana. But
Okay.
it's not because the people really putting in nothing.
Right.
You know, I'm like, and I had to make him understand. Listen, in America, when I go to the store and I buy my pineapple, if it's $1, I'm probably gonna pay $1.07, $1.08,
Yeah.
$1.14.
Yeah.
I'm paying taxes on those things. I pay taxes on my income. I pay taxes on every single thing that I buy in America. And these are the reasons why we have good roads and we're paying for all of this stuff. It's not free. The government, we are the government. We are the money in the government. We're putting the money into the government for them to give us the things that we want.
But you see, the other problem with Ghana is stuck because it's a British colony. So they utilize a lot of the British ways and then they try to take some of the American ways. So it's like, in terms of tax on commodities, we pay taxes in Ghana too, but they build it into the price. So we don't see it on the end of it the way you do in the US. So some people don't fully understand how it goes in, but they don't know like which structure they really want to use. And so it makes it difficult for them to kind of sort problems. And the reality is a lot of people don't pay taxes, and then they tax the same people over and over again. So like you and I pay more taxes in a year than probably my aunt has paid in 15. You know what I'm saying? Because I go to places and do things that she would never think about doing. And then it costs me additional money and whatever else. But then it also gets to a point where those people get overtaxed or they get exhausted with the amount of tax they pay, with the amount of fees they pay, with the amount of things that look like they come out of the waterworks. And then you feel like you're being scammed. And then people just get frustrated with the overall system.
Yeah. I think that, you know, I told one friend of mine in Guinea, I said, you know, if you want your country to look the way America does, a few things you have to do.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have to enslave everybody here in the countries around, make everybody work for free. Only a handful of people get to enjoy the benefits of that. And then once everything is built and everything is going well, then you gotta tax the shit out of everybody.
Listen, I said to me and my cousin have this joke because like on the days when I'm super, super angry with Ghana, I'm like, I'm leaving. He'd be like, he's like, he's talking me off the bridge. And in the days that he's angry, I'm just here looking at him like, everything you said is true. They're lying, they're stealing, they whatever. But we have this joke and he's always like, Ghana's so bad that if you told the Ghanaians, I will give you guys visas to leave and go live elsewhere, they would pick up and leave. And then you let all the white people or the other people come in and build the country. And then the Ghanaians would pay you to allow them to come back to the same country they're not willing to do the work to build.
Yeah, it's true. And
I'm like,
it's weird because, you know, I kind of feel like we do the same thing here.
But this is my perspective with America, because, you know, with all of the racial tensions and the injustices and the murders and the anomaly of how Donald Trump became president and was allowed to stay in office all this time, people are frustrated. And so I see all these people like, you should just leave, pick up and leave and go live somewhere else. And I'm like, no. Your ancestors, my ancestors built this shit. So whatever they got to give us, collect your coins. You need to find a way to utilize both, which is why I'm bicontinental. And I've been telling people now with the rioting, the protesting, and the burning down in neighborhoods. And I mean, I really hated the burning down in the neighborhoods, the rioting and protesting. I was like, no, this is why I hated it, because it wasn't strategic. No, it wasn't. I can't even say what I want to say on this video, but listen. I've been saying since the Freddie Gray incident in Baltimore, I wanted to be like a protest, a response organizer.
Yeah.
I want y'all to hit this in state.
Hit the right.
Yes, that's what I was upset about. Y'all didn't hit the right people the right way, because I'm down with you sending the message, but the message I want you to send is a little different than y'all burning down a damn Dollar Tree in your neighborhood. I was like, not the Dollar Tree.
Girl. So that's why I love you, because we think you got this. We had that same mindset. Because I'm like, if you're gonna burn some shit, be strategic about how you burn the shit. Because what we know about this country is that they respond to violence.
Yes, and you saw how quickly the Canadian president was like, we have racial issues in this country. We're gonna work on it. Don't come burn this shit over here. Don't
come on.
We don't want these problems.
And the thing is, I think what frustrates me the most about our people here, or the situation here, and not just Black people, just the society as a whole, the 99%, is like, we don't, in other Western countries, their government scared of them people.
That's true.
The French will tear that bitch down.
That's true.
They will go until somebody.
My other point was, if you're going to tear it down, tear down the right neighborhoods, tear down all of them. And the point of that is because these people can't build. They can't do nothing. Exactly. They don't have the workforce. They don't have the intellect. They don't have the skill set. And it's not enough of them. They can't rebuild. But my other perspective of that was, right now, in terms of leave it all behind, why you shouldn't, is because now that you burned down your neighborhoods, you should be the one to rebuild it. You rebuild and you own your neighborhood, and you make sure that it operates the way Black people feel Black people should be treated in their home. And so that's my perspective with people in terms of, don't walk away. Now that y'all done created this mess, y'all clean up your own mess and you change the game. Because there's a lot of people who not looking at it that way, and they just want to up and go to greener pastures. You can have greener pastures both ways. You know what I'm saying? Like,
that's what I say. I feel like we're in a unique position where we can do both. Like, why not both? Why does it have to be either or? And I do.
That's my plan for the coming years. I really am looking to do both. I was like, look, I was so annoyed with not even the rioting and the protesting, because I went protesting myself, but I was so annoyed with the rioting and the burning down of the buildings. I was just like, come on, guys, we got to have a strategy. But I was like, but even though you didn't, I'm gonna stand right here and I'm gonna help fix this shit.
Exactly.
I'm gonna position myself to help fix this shit, because I lived in Baltimore City, and I know that y'all leave these poor Black neighborhoods to continue to be poor and Black for 10, 15 years. So I know you're not gonna touch it.
Right.
So now I got the time to position myself to be in line to, when y'all encouraging people to rebuild, I'm gonna be the ones to help rebuild in these certain neighborhoods, because y'all don't feel it's valuable. And don't let the white person come and do it and then have to be grateful to them.
Exactly.
And that's my point. So that's why when people are like, just up and leave, I'm like, no, that's not the answer.
And see, that's my thing. I'm like, okay, from the very beginning, from the time we decided, because when my husband came to America, within 2 weeks, he was like, no.
Which is surprising, because normally they come in and like,
girl, he was like, okay, so we need to get on a timeline. We got to get up out of here. We cannot raise.
And I do know a couple of people like that. Like, I had a friend who was trying to get U.S. citizenship for the longest time. So I guess they got green cards originally, or some, I don't know how, but they ended up with passports. But they live in Ghana, and they're wealthy. Oh, half of them are Bahama as well, and they're wealthy. Yes, and yeah, and actually, the wife of the guy, she's Bahama, but she's actually the president's niece or something like that, former president's niece or something like that.
Us, girl.
So, but look, so her and her husband, they got U.S. passports. The baby was born in the U.S. He got a passport, and because they have green cards. No, they have green cards, I think. Whatever it is, however they got the citizenship, they have to be in the States. At least they can't be out of the States more than 6 months. So they have to fly back and forth. So they're like, yo, this is a headache. We don't even want this. I was like, give it back. And they were like, we just gonna wait and have the second baby. That way he has it. And if he wants to go to the States and go to school, it's easy for him to do it. But we have no intentions of living in America ever.
Right.
We have no intentions of building there. We might go, and they don't even work.
Oh man.
Work in America, maybe go to school for.
We having a connection issue.
Trade places, to travel places, and to build a ability to have access. But it doesn't mean that you have to live in America and live that life full time if you don't want to. At the same time, if you're sick of America and you want to leave, that doesn't mean you got to leave cut and dry and not take what you're entitled to. Take everything you've earned, boo-boo.
Right.
And keep your ear abreast of opportunities, boo-boo.
Exactly. And I think that's what where my frustration comes from, because I'm like, listen, you have these people who are ADOS.
I just learned about that word.
So you got the ADOS, and then you have the people who just want to move. You got the people who are Pan-African. You got all of these different things going on. And I'm like, listen, two things can be true at the same time. Yeah. I have a birthright to whatever it is that we supposed to have here. I have a birthright to whatever it is that I'm supposed to have on the continent of Africa. Mm-hmm. God damn it, why can't I just do both?
You should.
I have felt from my soul, especially from my very first visit to Ghana, when I went to Cape Coast Castle, I knew right then that I got to do both. I have to be in both.
And you should. Like, this is one of the, and I said this to you in some of our other conversations, being in Ghana and deal with some of the frustration and the headache of it. Some days I'm just like, it's too much stress.
And then being in America, you have the same shit.
What? And then being in the States, and I'm like, I can't deal with this cold weather. Really, it's more the weather than it is anything else. It's depressing. It's very depressing. The skin, the veggies. Sometimes you just want ease of life. And I'm like, I think for Black people, we are not oriented to believe the world is our oyster the same way white people do. You have white people who live in New York. They will tell you they're from New York. They're from London. I'm also going to be looking at being able to live in the US and be more comfortable on this side too, and not on some come to the US and get a job. I'm an entrepreneur in Ghana. I'm going to be an entrepreneur in America by whatever means. You know what I'm saying? You have the ability to have multiple businesses and multiple streams of income. In America, we all know that we're taught and told you have to have multiple streams of income. It doesn't have to be on one continent. You know, it doesn't have to be in one country. You have the option to kind of decide how you're going to navigate things. And I think that is one of the better aspects of living in Africa. You see a lot of entrepreneurship, and you have the ability to hear how these people start these businesses and see where you can fit in and what you can do within that kind of space. So I'm just like, anytime people are like, leave this, leave that, I'm like, don't leave nothing. Take it all. Do it all. Do what you want to do with this one piece of life you have, because it ain't easy for anybody anywhere.
Yeah, I think that that having us having in our getting it in our minds that we aren't limited to, we're not limited to American. I'm not limited to Ghana. I'm like, Ghana is not gonna be for everybody.
It's not. Shit, some days it ain't for me.
Exactly. Africa period is not for everybody. Africa has 54 countries. You might not like none of them.
Yeah. Because I know a lot of people who love South Africa, and I was just like,
Exactly. And there are a number of other places in the world.
But I really want to explore more African countries and just see what's there, because as much as I'm Ghanaian and I do feel at home in Ghana, I ain't gonna lie. Like, since I've just been there so much that I feel free. I don't worry as much. Yes, I don't worry as much as other people. And I can say maybe that's because I've been there so much that I'm comfortable. But I would like to see what other African countries are like and what they have to offer, because there's a lot of them that are also looking for people to come and build, come and invest, and whatever else. So you could end up being bi-continental, or not even be on the continent, but just be between countries on the continent, making real money. That's good to me too.
Because that's actually, me and my husband were talking about that recently about, because I'm actually looking at I was contacted about a job in Senegal.
Okay.
I asked them, I was like, what if, I do, I go through this process and I get offered the job and I actually want to take the job. Like, how would you feel about that? And he was like, listen, I'm not married to nowhere. Wherever we go, where we can, our families together and we can make this money and we can be comfortable. Let's go there. He's like,
And
Ghana
this is the thing, life is so short that you gotta explore.
Yeah.
You gotta give yourself the chance to really find happiness wherever it may lie. And if you're fortunate enough to have a support system and to have a whole spouse who could go with you, girl, I would be like.
And that's what I think is really important that we, my heart is in Africa.
Mm-hmm.
I would say my heart is in Africa, my soul is in, my spirit is in Africa, my soul is in America. Like, I don't know.
You feel split. I feel like that too, because I have a lot of family here in the States, and especially the younger ones, like the kids want to be really involved in their life and their upbringing and them to see you enough. And that's another thing that encourages me to work hard. Because the more money you have, the easier you can make your life.
Exactly.
You know, when you have a lot of money and somebody's graduating and you got to pop in for a week, it's nothing. But when you barely get by, you like $1,500 for a week, child. That's a lot.
That's a lot, right? And I just think that if we could open up our minds a little more, and for us having 4 children and doing all of this or trying to do all of this, it's a lot, but we are willing to do whatever it takes to make it happen. Mm-hmm. And I think that most people don't understand that all it takes is having a well made up mind.
Yeah.
And in my well made up mind is like, okay, I want to make sure that my children are, they have what they can. If they want to be in America, they can be in America. If they want to be in Ghana, they can be in Ghana. Or if they want to be in Timbuktu, they can be in Timbuktu. I don't care where
that's my thing. I feel like my mom was hardworking as hell. She kept a job, she kept a career, and then she tried to start businesses, whether they were long-term successes or not. She tried, and I'm like, after her passing, I realized how much of that she passed to me. And I'm like, if I decide to have kids, I want them to have a lifestyle that is light years away from what I had. Right. And I want them to be comfortable enough to allow their minds to be open to different things than mine. Because you know what, when you grow up in poverty, when you grow up in, for me, a one income household is poverty, but when you grow up in poverty and struggle, because a lot of us, in America, you're doing well, but you just getting by. You know what I'm saying? Right. You're not comfortable. You're not making decisions out of comfort. You're making decisions out of necessity. So when I'm talking about doing well, I'm talking about comfort. But when you grow up in a space of comfort, you look at things differently. Like for me, go to school, get a basic job, be able to take care of yourself. But you think about wealthy people whose kids become gamers, become investors, because they don't have the most basic. Yeah, they don't have the most basic of concerns to worry about. How am I going to pay rent? How am I going to afford school? They get to just be free artists and things like that. I didn't grow up in that kind of space. Exactly. And that comes from what your parents are able to do or able to show you. And unfortunately, my mom was a single parent of 5 kids. 3 of her, just about all of her kids went to college. Not all of them graduated, but that expense was hers alone. Yeah. And so how you move and how you interact with your kids, what you're able to expose them to, is all impacted by how comfortable you are in your house and what kind of life you have. So for me, I'm like, if I was to have kids, I want them to be comfortable enough to where they can feel like the world is their oyster. If they decided to move to Europe and farm, they would be without worry, and they would be sure that they would be successful because I created a foundation for them of confidence and opportunity that allows them to operate like that. That's the difference between Black kids and white kids. Exactly. They genuinely think they could do anything. Exactly. Our kids are just like, I'm just trying to get by. Some of them are just like, I'm just trying to make it to 30. I'm surprised I lived this long. And it has a large impact on the decisions you make, So
and I think that when we, if we can open up that box, it would just do so much for us on both sides of this ocean. So
Yeah.
For me,
yeah, because I'm like, I thought back and I said, yo, if I was really, really smart when I was in college, I would have started a business then.
And that's what I said.
You know the network you got when you in college. But when I was in college, I was just like, I got to go to class. From class, I got to go to work. I got to pay my rent. I didn't even think about how much people I could have networked with in business. I could have started then. And I'm like I said, at that time, my number one goal was pass these classes, get these grades, go to grad school, get this good job. And that's what you got to worry about. And sometimes you don't get to live in that moment. And I think that's one of the things with Ghana. Ghana slows you down.
Yeah.
It slows you down so much. And it also allows you to be in your head a lot, where you really start to churn and think, and you're like, hey.
It brings out that creativity also. Like,
it brings out the creativity, and then it brings out the space of really being able to be like, okay, everybody here is an entrepreneur one way or another. You can't saturate a market that's small. What else can I do? What else can I go? What do they need? And there's so much of a need in Ghana. We need so much. We need so much.
And I think that because of the so much need, move, baby, move. I'm almost done. Because of the so much need, I think you also have the problem of people, as far as business goes, I think a lot of us coming from here to there, we don't go outside.
She love her mama.
Girl, yeah. And when I finish with here, she don't have nothing to say to me. But I think that a lot of times people, one of the biggest problems I see with the businesses that people want to start in Ghana per se is we don't understand the demographic, which is why I think it's so important that we go and be there for a little bit. If you can afford to go and just be there for.
Yeah, I think they don't understand the demographic, and relying on what people tell you it is the worst thing.
It's the worst thing. Like,
and people are so big on, I can tell you, I know what it is. I got experience. Take it from me. Nope.
And you went for a 4-day trip. For one,
not even the people who live there, because
your experience is going to be very different.
Your experience is going to be different, and your experience is going to be based off of your work ethic and how hard you are willing to push stuff. Like, let me tell you something. Yes. Somebody could get a no today, and you could just be like, well, I talked to this person and that's it. And you think that's the only option. Whereas I could get a no, and then I call somebody and they call in a favor, or they don't call in a favor, or the person liked me today and all of a sudden they say yes, and I'm the last person they let in. It's like word of mouth, as much as it's been a majority leader for marketing and whatever, it also does people a large disservice because you get inaccurate information, and a lot of people circulate information that is not their actual experience.
Right.
And so it's like, oh, Bakita told me I could do XYZ, so I know that's the way, because Bakita is very well known and whatever else. And then you go and your experience is completely different than Bakita's. And I'm like,
Bakita is going to tell you every single time, I cannot tell you what it's going to be like to, I cannot tell you what it's going to be like for you to make this transition in Ghana. I have 4 children. I have an 18-year-old, 6-year-old, 4-year-old, and a 2-year-old. My husband is Ghanaian. My situation is not quite like what your situation probably is.
Yeah.
I have different needs than what you may have. I can't live on like a family compound. I don't think I can do that. I need my
You know what's so funny? Somebody said to me something about, I don't know what group it was, but they said one of these tribes, all these people live in a compound. And I was like, what is a compound? Like, because for me, a compound is a yard, right? So that's what I'm thinking, is a yard. Right. So I'm like, yeah, because my house is a compound, but what's wrong with that? And then I realized they were saying, like, in certain tribes in the compound, they build like 4 or 5 houses. And I was like, what?
Right.
I'm like,
right.
my house is the only house. I was like, what got time?
And see, a lot of people don't really understand those types of those aspects of living in Ghana. It's like, okay, a compound is just your house and your yard and your shit.
Yeah.
But then there are people who live on family compounds.
Yeah.
And living on a family compound, hell, my husband is Ghanaian and he like, oh hell no.
Yo, the funny thing was, I was like, and I guess maybe for Cape Coast
and
it's
he
different.
grew up on a family compound too.
And that's what I'm saying. I didn't grow up like that, and I didn't even know people who grew up like that. So I'm in Ghana and hearing people, and I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And then they explain, and I'm like, "I've never seen that before." Yeah, and then I thought about the parts of Osu where they build, and the house is not actually gated off, and it's building. And I'm like, "Oh."
And see, like my husband's father was Muslim. He had 4 wives, and instead of everybody having their own space, like they do in certain situations, his family, they all live on a compound, a family compound. So all 4 of his wives, they all had their own space on the compound, but everybody lived on the same compound.